Watch part 1 now, or else this video is not going to make much sense. Come on, look at that sloppy ass kiss those two are having. Surely people won't have a problem with that. 6 days later, Ethan the Woolly Mammoth from Ice Age released Tailor-Made Freestyle, despite still awaiting a response from the crackhead on the show Power. But in Tailor-Made Freestyle, Drake used an AI version of Tupac's voice and Snoop Dogg's voice. Drake used Tupac's voice because he was known for his authentic style, and Tupac would call out betrayal and talk shit back. He utilized this voice to aggressively confront himself? Faux Pac rap.
Talk about him like a young girls, that's a gift from me. Heard it on the Button podcast, this gotta be true.
Drake was telling Kendrick that he knows exactly what Kendrick's about to go for, but I don't get his whole angle here. He's basically saying, if you call me a pedophile, then you're gonna look stupid because I already called myself a pedophile. Drake is a fucking idiot for this. Now let's focus on AI Snoop Dogg. Drake used Snoop to tell Kendrick to once again make a move.
Smoke weed every day. Hey, Kendrick, you're carrying on our legacy, but we don't think you have any moves left for shit-talking Drake.
That aged poorly, by the way. But after Snoop GPT and Faux Pac rapped, Drake himself came in, claiming that Kendrick delayed his response due to Taylor Swift releasing her album the same day that Drake dropped Tailor-Made Freestyle. But I want to note that the Tupac estate threatened to sue for the inappropriate use of Tupac's voice, and because of that, his track ended up getting removed on all streaming services. So now a couple days passed by, and the man that's supposed to drop Vultures 2 decided to not work on this fucking album so he could hop on the fuck Drake bandwagon. And this is for a good reason too. Remember the 2021 Free Larry Hoover concert that Drake and Kanye had? That concert squashed the beef between the two that had been brewing for a while. Or at least that's what I thought. But can you guess who instigated things for no reason at all? Yeah, it was Drake. In November 2022, Drake and 21 Savage dropped their collab album, Her Loss, and on the track Circo Loco, Drake rapped about how he linked up with the ops only because of Jay Prince, the music executive that reunited the two. Drake went even further with this, rapping about how they'll never bury the hatchet and that Drake's never been the one to apologize, but rather the one to talk some more shit again. Kanye responded to this track through Twitter, writing about how he already gave Drake his flowers by gassing him up in an interview and by promoting the release of Her Loss on his Parler account, calling Drake and 21 two gods. Kanye would further explain that the rappers should be going after the unfair industry and not each other. But no, Drake just had to keep being an asshole, and for no reason. In April 2023, Drake would drop another jab towards Kanye with his single Search and Rescue, which features a lookalike Kim K on the cover. The song even samples a clip from Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which features Kim and her mom Kris discussing Kimberly's recent divorce. And you could argue that this isn't really a diss, but I feel like bringing up your friend's divorce in one of your songs is just kind of weird. But towards the end of 2023 in November, Drake the centrist decided to stop being a filthy fence sitter, and he properly dissed Kanye on the For All the Dogs Deluxe. Drake rapped about how Kanye was being fake when they made amends, and holy shit, he is a hypocrite. As you can see by now, Drake just loves to start shit. So after Drake dropped the Tailor-Made Freestyle, Kanye finally decided that he's gonna respond to that bullshit too. So he hopped on Metro's Like That, which became the Like That Kanye remix. The track started out with,
You know we had to get the hooligans up here, we gonna take this pussy player out. Yo, Dot, I got you.
And Kanye would go on to diss Drake and even J. Cole. Kanye's delivery on how he dissed Drake was hilarious. Y'all so out of sight, out of mind, I can't even think of a Drake line. I love how Kanye knows that you can just call out Drake for being Drake at this point, and that in itself is a diss. But what's really fucking funny is when Ye rapped, Play J. Cole, get the pussy dry. J. Cole was out of the beef around this time, so I bet he was seething at the fact that he didn't have a chance to diss Kanye back. And that's what you get for getting a fucking cheeseburger, you liar. Stick with your humble meal. But now it's time for the best fucking part. Euphoria by Kendrick Lamar. Everyone was waiting on this diss for almost a month, and Kendrick finally delivered 9 days after Ye's remix. Kendrick would start out his diss by calling Drake a master manipulator and a habitual liar. After everything I've learned for this video, that shit's on brand for Drake. K-Dot would even go on to rap about how he fucking hates everything about Drake. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk, I hate the way that you dress, I hate the way that you sneak and diss. If I catch flight, it's gonna be direct. We hate the bitches you fuck, cause they confuse themselves with real women. And notice how I said we, it's not just me, I'm with the culture feeling. Back in 2018, Pusha T released the story of Adidon, I don't know, which he exposed to everybody that Drake has a son with a porn star that he hid from the entire world. Ever since Pusha revealed that Drake is a fucking scumbag with a bastard child, I lost all respect for him, and I can't take anything he does from that point on seriously. I mean, do you remember this photo of him sucking a cock? You just post that on the internet and expect to be taken seriously? It's just ridiculous. But thanks to Pusha T, we learned about Drake's son Adonis, and that forced him to actually be there for his kid. But you might be wondering, if he lied about having a child, could he also be lying about having more children? I mean, he is really famous. I gotta stop stop here. We'll continue down this path later on. But regarding Euphoria, Kendrick called out Drake for being a bad father.
Y'all thinking my life is rap? That's hoe shit. I got a son to raise, but I can see you know nothing about that.
Also, Kendrick didn't give a shit about J. Cole's humble ass apologizing. He had to clap back anyways. Kendrick went on to tackle the Big Three comment, mentioning how if Cole and Drake aren't his partners or friends in this Big Three, then he'll be like YNW Melly. And he's currently on trial for allegedly killing 2 of his close friends. And that shit was clever. Call me a basic bitch, but I liked it. But towards the end of the song, Kendrick would drop one of the coldest disses towards Drake.
It ain't 20v1, it's 1v20. If I got a smack play, is that right with you?
OVO is known as a massive team of scooped up talent that gets locked away to write forever behind Drake's bars. Get it? That was a good one. A couple of these talented artists include Majid Jordan and Party Next Door, who have been writing away at gunpoint, and that's exactly why The Weeknd fucking hates Drake, because his ass would have been stowed away too. But throughout Euphoria, Kendrick had been explaining the fact that Drake only uses his black heritage when it's useful for him. And in the final line, Kendrick shows us that he's tired of Drake pulling the race card, so Kendrick lets him know that we don't want to hear you say playa no more. 3 days pass, and Drake hasn't even responded yet, but Kendrick doesn't give a fuck. On May 3rd, Kendrick dropped 616 in LA, which parodies the time and location titles that Drake frequently uses album to album. K-Dot starts by shrugging off Drake's claim regarding Kendrick only getting a 50% cut when he was signed to TDE.
Conspiracies about Cash Dog, that's not even the leak. Find the jewels like Cash Dog, I just need you to think. Are you ready to play? Have you ever? Let's see. Have you ever thought that OVO is working for me?
Drake has been digging for dirt, while Kendrick reveals that he's been getting his dirt directly from the source. Kendrick reinforces this claim throughout the track and also calls Drake out for being a bully with the bar,
Fake bully, I hate bullies, you must be a terrible person. Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it.
Thanks for putting up with this British voice. I have no clue why the fuck I'm doing it. Kendrick continued the claim that he has an OV mole. Get it? With the bar. 100 players you got on salary, and there's 20 of them you got as a casualty, and one of them is actually next to you, and 2 of them is practically tied to your lifestyle. Just don't got the audacity to tell you. People have been speculating that this mole could be Future the Prince, aka Drake's manager. Drake and his manager were executives on the show Euphoria, and Future the Prince usually always sits next to Drake when they both attend the Raptors games, which might imply that his manager is the mole due to the bar one of them is actually next to you. Also, if we go back to Like That, the bar Prince outlived Mike Jack could be a double entendre hinting that Future the Prince is the mole, but I don't know. This might be a reach, but I'll elaborate more on this later. 616 in LA was essentially Kendrick saying that he's working with a OV mole and that he wasn't firing on all cylinders in this track. It was simply just bait for what's to come. But Kendrick masturbated Drake. Wait. The mastermind Kendrick Lamar baited Drake by waiting for him to drop his response Family Matters, and no, he's destroying the Good Kid Mad City van in the music video. I wish Kendrick would have responded with him blowing up the CN Tower. Drake's clever team of ghostwriters came up with the fact that Kendrick is unfaithful and cheated on his fiancée Whitney Alford with white women. But Kendrick already admitted this on Mother I Sober, but I get that Drake was trying to throw a dig at him. Alright, but I'll admit that Drake actually did come up with something though. He suggested that Kendrick's kids are not his and that they actually belong to the former president of Top Dog Entertainment, Dave Free. Drake even used the screenshot of a double heart emoji comment that Dave Free left on Whitney's Instagram for the final diss, The Heart Part 6. And I'll elaborate more on this later, don't worry. Drake claimed all of this with the bar,
Yo baby mama captions always screaming save me. You did it dirty all your life, you trying to make peace. I heard that one of them little kisses might be day free. Don't make it day freeze, cause if your GM is your BM secret BD.
Drake would go on to claim that Kendrick beats his wife with the bar,
They hired a crisis management team to clean up the fact that you beat on your queen.
Now this bar could mean 2 things. The first thing being the drama in 2014 regarding Kendrick allegedly beating a woman in Las Vegas, which did involve a crisis management team. But for a good reason. There's been an old video that has resurfaced recently of a woman claiming that she worked as a security guard for a hotel that Kendrick was staying at in Las Vegas, and the security guard explained that she saw a woman who was beaten severely by the doings of a famous rapper, aka Kendrick Lamar. It's noted that the crisis management team was most likely hired due to the fact that Kendrick and his team wouldn't want a false rumor degrading his reputation. More of the situation was exposed on the website okliar.com, but it was dissected by this guy on Twitter, and I'll leave a link to it in the description. Now regarding the second and more explicit reason that Kendrick has been abusive to his fiancée of almost 20 years, this could be true. In 2012, Kendrick hopped on as a feature for the song His Pain by BJ the Chicago Kid, in which Kendrick raps, "A month before that I cursed my mother and slammed the door. 6 months before that I hit my woman, she hit the floor." This sounds bad, but Genius notes that this could be from the perspective of one of Kendrick's friends. Earlier in that same song, Kendrick raps, "Yesterday my homie had told me his brother died. A day before that his homeless uncle was caught outside." And in the song, he continues to rap from his friend's perspective, but a little later on, he starts using I, even in that verse with the hitting women bar. Now this could mean that we are now in Kendrick's perspective, but Kendrick has made several songs from someone else's perspective while talking in the first person. An example of this would be Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst, where each verse is from a different perspective. The first verse on this song is from his friends, and the second verse is from a prostitute's. So I don't know. It seems that Drake probably just read the bar on his pain and assumed that Kendrick was speaking on his own behalf, and this wouldn't be the first time Drake misinterpreted a verse. He completely misunderstood Mother I Sober on the Heart Part 6, but we'll get into that later. After dealing with Kendrick, Drake would go on to diss The Weeknd, Future, Metro Boomin, and Rick Ross on Family Matters, but I don't really feel like explaining that shit. All those guys stayed silent from then on, and the beef really only started to amplify between Kendrick and Drake. Shortly after Family Matters, Drake decided to drop another diss track nicknamed Pinebox, which parodies the Buried Alive interlude from his own album Take Care, which Kendrick was featured on. Drake is basically airing out his feelings, letting Kendrick know that it was Drizzy who made him big by lending him a feature and by having Kendrick open for him during Drake's 2012 tour Club Paradise. And honestly, it seems like Drake had been waiting for Kendrick to drop 616 in LA, and that Family Matters was something Drizzy had in his back pocket to overshadow whatever Kendrick was gonna drop. But this seems a little ironic as the entire vibe of Pinebox seemed like it was whipped up last minute. But speaking of overshadowing, Kendrick decided to pull a motherfucking prestige, and he prestigious the shit out of Drake with the all-known classic that speaks for itself, Meet the Grams.
I need some hot tour. Spit on that thing, Crody.
Dear Adonis, I'm sorry that man is your father. Let me be honest. It takes a man to be a man. Your dad is not responsive. I look at him and wish your grandpa would have wore a condom.
Kendrick went after Drake and his entire family. K-Dot once again masturbated Drake, and Meet the Grams is filled with jabs all around, with Kendrick letting Drake's son Adonis know that his father is a shitty person, Kendrick letting Drake's mother Sandra know that he's a terrible person, and Kendrick even telling Drake's dad Dennis know that he's a horrible fucking person. The nerve of you, Dennis. Fuck! Kendrick lets Drake's mom know that Drake is a sick man with sick thoughts. I think people like him should die. Him and Weinstein should be fucked up in a cell for the rest of their life. But Kendrick is comparing Drake to Harvey Weinstein, who's known for his predatory behavior, and later on in Meet the Grams, he doubles down on the pedophilia accusation, rapping about how people have to raise their daughters with the worry about predators like Drake around, and that Drake should die so these women could live without worrying about being victimized. Now, you remember how in Euphoria, Kendrick pointed out that Drake is a bad father for not being there for his son? Well, what if I told you that Drake was never there for his daughter? On Meet the Grams, Kendrick mentions that Drake is a piece of shit who's also neglected another child.
Dear baby girl, I'm sorry that your father not active inside your world. He don't commit to much but it's music, yeah, that's for sure. He a narcissist, misogynist, living inside his songs. Try destroying families rather than taking care of his own. Should be teaching you timetables or watching Frozen with you, or at your 11th birthday singing poems with you. Instead he being Turks, paying for sex and popping perks, examples that you don't deserve. I want to tell you that you're loved, you're brave, you're kind. You got a gift to change the world and can change your father's mind, cause our children is the future, but he lives inside confusion. Money's always been illusion, but that's the life he's used to. His father probably didn't claim him neither. History do repeats itself, sometimes it don't need a reason. But I would like to say it's not your fault that he's hiding another child. Give him grace, this the reason I made Mr. Morale.
Kendrick somehow got info that explains the existence of an 11-year-old girl that Drake neglected, but it's worth noting that shortly after the song was released, Drake and Oviho attempted to debunk the existence of the second child by mentioning that Drake had somebody feed Kendrick false information, and one of the ways Kendrick did this was by hiding a little girl in the background of the Family Matters music video, so he could once again prestige Kendrick. But honestly, I think Drake got lucky with some random ass graffiti in the back of his music video, and I don't think it's too far-fetched that Drake could have a daughter, and we all know the shit that went down between Drake and Pusha T. Thank you, Pusha T, for giving that boy a father. So I feel like this daughter could very well be real, just because the fact that this wouldn't be the first time that Drake lied about having a child. Also, I want to mention the fact that back in 2015, Drake was voluntarily paying a waitress with a 2-year-old daughter $15K in child support until he could establish if he was the father or not. And if we align the timeline with this and now, this little girl would be about 11 years old. Kendrick never brought up this daughter claim again, and I think he did it to keep her identity safe, because K-Dot wouldn't want to ruin a grown little girl's life with unwanted attention. That's Drake's job. But on the initial cover art of Meet the Grams, we're shown an embroidered dress shirt from the Short T collection by the clothing brand Arctic, which features a bulldog on it, which could be a jab at for all the dogs, a jeweler's business card, jewelry receipts, Ozempic, which is used for quicker weight loss, and prescription pills. According to DJ Academics, I know, I know. These items were stolen from Drake's dad, Dennis Graham. The jewelry card is from Nadine Gossin? I don't give a fuck. Who's known to be Pharrell's, Lil Yachty's, and of course, Drake's jeweler. Nadine is noted for making the diamond and gold encrusted dog leash that Drake used for his music video, First Person Shooter, which is where all this beef stems from. The next item are receipts from Popular Jewelry Group, and it's theorized that these receipts are for a replica of Kendrick's fiance's engagement ring that Drake bought for the Family Matters music video. Or this could just be a receipt for some jewelry Drake bought, as this was foreshadowed before on 616 in LA. Find the jewels like Cash Doll? I just need you to think. Now the last item is a bottle of Zolpidem, which is essentially just Ambien and is used to treat insomnia, which Drake supposedly has. A lot of people thought that this entire image could be fake or AI until we finally got a closer look thanks to Twitter user Ebony Prince 2K24. EP24 states that King Kendrick Lamar is not a liar and he's not a thief, with a video that shows EP24 being in possession of the cover arts items. We're shown these items in detail, and we also learned that Drake is also taking Adderall, which makes sense.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my god. I'm sorry.
Later that day, EP24 also posted a screenshot of surveillance footage, which seems to be from a hotel that Drake stays at every single time he's in New York. While the dates on this picture aren't important, as they don't line up with the medicine bottles, it's noted that this could have been the place where Drake's mole could have stolen Dennis's bag for Kendrick. But who could that mole be? I said that I'd elaborate on it being Drake's manager, Future the Prince, because EP24's name is Ebony Prince 2K24, and his manager is Future the Prince. Coincidence? Probably. I don't know. It's just so much fucking speculation at this point. The Meet the Grams cover was deleted and replaced with a solid black square, as rumors surfaced that Drake or his OVO team planted the evidence to make Kendrick look bad. However, this could be Drake's team attempting to do damage control, as they claimed that the Maybach gloves were a dig at Rick Ross and his label Maybach Music. The Ozempic also could have been another dig at Rick Ross for being a chunky guy, but it's noted that streaming services don't allow any personal information on cover arts, and if Kendrick was truly fed false information, he would have removed the cover art from Meet the Grams on YouTube.
Now, before we wrap up the main K-Dot versus Drizzle arc, it's time to dissect Kendrick Lamar's final diss. Not Like Us. Or watch the party die. Or something on GNX. You'll have to see what happens next week on Charflame. Thank you everybody for waiting so freaking long on this second part in the Kendrick versus Drake trilogy. But I cannot wait for you guys to see part 3 next week, okay? You better be there, alright? Bye-bye!